Welcome to Inspiring People, the show about inspiring people, those who are inspired and those who inspire others. We all know them. They're good examples, they're supportive, they embrace life, they live inspiring lives in their day-to-day actions, and in turn, inspire others to do the same. Hi, welcome to Inspiring People. My name is Mary Otto, and with me today for part 3 of our interview is Grant Johnson. Welcome back, Grant.
Glad to be back.
Well, we were in the last segment, in case you weren't able to see it, we were talking with Grant about his years at the University of Minnesota and at Gustavus and focusing on his sports career, and we were just finishing up talking about his football career. And now let's talk a little bit about basketball.
I want to interrupt just a second and remind you that I missed a name of a very famous column.
Okay.
Is still writing, Sid Hartman.
Yes, that's the name.
And he was just a young Cub reporter at that time. And I want to also mention that the third day on the job, this is kind of interesting, an older fella came up the ramp. He had on a rain cap because it was drizzling a little bit and a raincoat. And I was going to say to him, "You can't get in, sir, because Bernie Bingman is secret fag." But he started to talk about, "Are we going to have a good team this year?" And I says, "Yeah, well, I think we are. We only lost 3 or 4 fellas from last year. We won the national championship." He says, "Fine, I'm glad." And he turned to go, and I said to him, because I thought maybe he's got a son playing football. And I turned to him, I said, "Do you have a son playing football?" "No," he says, "I'm Lotus Kaufman. I'm president of the university." And I said, "Well, I think you can go in and see practice." So he went in and saw practice for 15, 20 minutes, came back, and he says, "What's your name?" And I said, "Grant Johnson." He says, "Come and see me sometime." He says, "You can get into my office easier than I could get into your office." So I never forgot that.
Yes.
So I was so proud of that I wrote my mother a note that week, and I said, "Mom, believe it or not, I've only been here a week, and I already met the University of Minnesota president, Lotus Kaufman." And my mother was a worrier, and I know what she thought. She thought I was in trouble already. I never forgot that. Now about basketball, because of the fact that I had transferred, I lost a year eligibility. And they also had a rule you could not play as a freshman. So I only had 2 years of basketball at the university. And I was fortunate to play on a team. The first year we won the Big Ten basketball championship. And the second year we were runners-up. And on that team was John Kundala, who coached the Lakers to 5 national championships. He was my roommate on trips and a great friend of mine. And John was a spark plug on our team, on those 2 wonderful teams.
What position did you play, Grant?
I played guard.
Okay.
And I was 6'3". And nowadays, I just heard in the paper the other day that a fellow was 6'8", and they said he couldn't play power forward because he wasn't tall enough. And I swim 3 times a week. And I swim at the Sportsplex owned by the Magic.
Oh.
It's a basketball team down in Florida. And Howard, a fellow by the name of Howard, who's on the championship playing now in the Olympics, he works out there, and I got a chance to visit him quite often because he has a trainer with him. And I get a kick out of talking to him. And he's 6'11", and I look like a little shadow compared to him. And I think back how competitive the kids are today, how tall they are, talented, and what they can do. And if we try to dunk a basketball, the coach would put us on the seat for hot dogging it. Today, everybody tries to hot dog it.
That's right. That makes it even more spectacular.
That's right.
So what kind of awards did you win in your basketball years, Grant?
I didn't win any awards except that we won the award for, I got a ring for playing on the basketball championship teams. But I was very instrumental in doing quite a few things for the university. I organized 4 alumni clubs at the University of Minnesota, and Detroit Lakes was recognized as the best one in the state by Ken Hazlett, the university director. And I was always proud of that. And I also had a chance to play in Madison Square Garden, which at that time was the most famous place because they very seldom talked about sports in the sport page. It was always about teams in the East. So that trip to New York was really great, and I enjoyed it very much. And we were fortunate to win both basketball games. And there, I got a chance to see the greatest, I think the greatest college basketball player that I ever, of all time. And I'd like to have everybody remember this name. His name was Hank Lucetti, and he played for Stanford. And we had dinner with him, and I had a chance to sit next to him and talk to him. He scored 42 points. Well, that's like saying that you can score 100 points today. He was just talented both defensively and offensively, and he was quick and talented and a great shot. And I'll never forget that. That was quite an experience. And our coach was Dave McMillan. He was a Scotchman, and he was so tight that he gave us 50 cents a day to see New York. Well, that was about $5 now. But I spent a nickel every day getting a shoe shine that cost 5 cents.
There you go.
I was so proud of that.
That looked pretty spiffy then,
Yeah,
right,
you
with that
betcha.
shoe shine.
That was great, yeah.
Well, I wanted to ask you a little bit about things that you've done within the state of Minnesota besides sports and so on. I understand that you were the chairman of the Governor's Commission on Health and Recreation.
Right.
Well, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, they wanted to start a new program in the state on health and education. Most education at that time was physical education. For instance, the sport classes were all throwing up a ball or something like that. See, they wanted to get into health, and they wanted someone that had experience in this field. I had a minor in health education, and so the superintendent of schools for the state said, "Grant, would you help us build a program for that?" So I was real instrumental in that, and I was real proud of that. In fact, it's one of the best programs in the state to date, even. And
how about your work with the Minnesota State High School League?
well, at the Minnesota, that's interesting. You should mention that because I was president of that for 4 years, and we expanded that program to include both boys and girls. And,
All right, good for you.
And we took care of all of the sport programs. We even included, you'd be Mary, we even included acting.
All right.
Yeah, and plays and things like that. So
Good to hear.
that we did some great work in that area, and we had some little opposition from a few people that thought we were too cliquey, you know, and that we were running a program. But we were real proud of the fact that we had all these kids, and we also gave them health insurance.
Oh,
which
big plus.
was a big plus at that time. Yep,
Absolutely.
loved it.
Well, this ends part 3 of my interview with Grant Johnson, and we're going to do a part 4 because he has many more delightful stories to tell us, and he's a very interesting man. So I hope you'll join us for part 4 of my interview with Grant Johnson.